Imagine this. You're standing in a room filled with people you thought were your allies. The air is thick with tension, the faint hum of conversation buzzing in your ears like a distant warning. You shared your ideas, your resources, your trust with them, believing they had your best interests at heart. But as you look around, you see their eyes darting away, their smiles fading, and a cold realization creeps in. The deal you thought was a partnership has turned into a trap, and the people you trusted are now the ones holding the keys to your downfall. Your stomach drops, your palms sweat, and your mind races. How did it come to this? You replay every interaction, every promise, every handshake, searching for the moment when trust turned into betrayal. But the truth is, it was always a risk. A gamble you took because you wanted to believe in something greater than yourself. Trust is the glue that holds society together, or so we've been told. It's the foundation of friendships, business deals, even nations. We celebrate it, preach it, strive for it. But what if trust is also the crack through which betrayal slips in? What if the very thing that connects us is also what leaves us vulnerable to manipulation and deceit? It's a paradox that has puzzled philosophers, leaders, and everyday people for centuries. On one hand, trust is essential for cooperation and progress. On the other, it's a double-edged sword that can cut deep when wielded by those with ill intent. You've always believed that trusting others is a sign of strength, a testament to your character. It's what makes you human, what separates you from the cynics and the skeptics. But now, as you stand there, betrayed and exposed, you can't help but question everything. Was your trust a strength, or was it a weakness? Did you see the signs and ignore them, or were you truly blindsided? The room feels smaller, the air thicker, and you realize this isn't just about this moment. It's about every time you've trusted someone and been let down. It's about the countless stories of betrayal that echo through history, from Julius Caesar to modern-day scandals. Trust, it seems, is both our greatest asset and our greatest liability. Why do we trust so easily, even when we know the risks? Is it hope, naivety, or something deeper? A need to believe in the goodness of others, a desire for connection, for belonging, for a world where people are who they say they are. And what does it say about us when that trust is broken? Are we fools for trusting, or are we simply human, navigating a world where trust is both a necessity and a gamble? Machiavelli, the master of power and strategy, saw trust not as a virtue, but as a tool, one that could be wielded or weaponized. He understood that in a world where power dynamics shift like sand, trusting everyone is not just naive, it's dangerous. But why? What did he see that we often miss? And how can we navigate a world where trust is both essential and perilous? Let's dive deeper into the hidden problems and psychological roots of this dangerous mistake. The answers may unsettle you, but they'll also pull back the curtain on a truth that's been lurking in the shadows all along. You've been betrayed, and the sting of it lingers, a bitter reminder that trust can be a double-edged sword. But why does this happen? Why do we, as humans, so often fall into the trap of trusting too easily, even when history and experience warn us otherwise? The answer lies not just in the actions of others, but in the hidden forces that shape our own minds and hearts. Carl Jung, the pioneer of depth psychology, would say that trust is tied to our longing for connection, for a world where the shadows don't lurk. But those shadows, our own and others, are real and ignoring them is a perilous mistake. Jung's concept of the shadow self reminds us that every person, including ourselves, harbors darkness, hidden motives, and unspoken desires. When we trust blindly, we deny the existence of these shadows, both in others and in ourselves. We want to believe in a world where everyone is as they appear. But this is a fantasy, a projection of our own need for safety and belonging. Philosophically, Friedrich Nietzsche saw trust as a gamble in a world driven by the will to power. People are not always what they seem. They are often masks, concealing their true intentions. Nietzsche warned that to trust everyone is to ignore the fundamental truth of human nature. We are creatures of self-interest, and sometimes that interest comes at the expense of others. Trust in this light is not a virtue, but a vulnerability, a crack in the armor that others can exploit. Society amplifies this problem. In a world where trust is commodified, think of social media, where we're encouraged to share our lives with strangers or business deals sealed with a handshake. We're conditioned to believe that trust is the default. But as Aldous Huxley foresaw in Brave New World, this can be a tool for control, a way to keep us compliant and blind to the machinations of power. Our brains, too, betray us. Cognitive biases, like the confirmation bias, make us see what we want to see, ignoring the red flags that wave in our periphery. The halo effect tricks us into thinking that because someone is charming or successful, they must also be trustworthy. These mental shortcuts, while useful in some contexts, can lead us into dangerous territory when it comes to trust. But what happens when we trust too easily? What are the unseen consequences that ripple through our lives, our relationships, our very sense of self? The answers are darker than you might think, and they're already shaping your world in ways you may not yet see. Let's pull back the curtain and reveal the hidden costs of this dangerous mistake. You've felt the sting of betrayal, the cold realization that trusting everyone can backfire, leaving you exposed and vulnerable. You've seen how your own psychology, shaped by societal norms and philosophical illusions, pushes you to trust even when you shouldn't. But the consequences of this mistake run deeper than a single moment of betrayal. They ripple through your life, silently eroding your relationships, your self-worth, and your ability to navigate the world. Let's uncover the unseen costs of blind trust, the price you pay when you ignore Machiavelli's warning, and why you can't afford to keep making this mistake. First, consider your relationships. When you trust too easily, you open the door to betrayal, not just once, but repeatedly. You might give your heart to a friend who leaks your secrets, or your loyalty to a business partner who undercuts you for profit. Each betrayal chips away at your ability to form genuine connections, leaving you isolated, guarded, and suspicious. You start to see every new relationship through the lens of past pain. Will they hurt me too? This isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Chronic betrayal triggers your brain's stress response, flooding your system with cortisol, making you hypervigilant, anxious, even paranoid. Over time, this erodes your capacity for intimacy, turning trust into a luxury you can no longer afford. Ever wonder why you feel so alone, even surrounded by people? It's because blind trust has burned the bridges you need to connect. The damage doesn't stop there. It seeps into your sense of self. When you trust everyone, you give others the power to define your worth. You rely on their validation, their loyalty, their honesty to feel secure. But when they betray you, that security crumbles, and with it, your self-esteem. You start to question your judgment. How could I have been so naive? You blame yourself, internalizing the shame of being fooled. This self-doubt becomes a vicious cycle, fueled by cognitive biases like the hindsight bias, where you convince yourself you should have known better. You lose confidence in your ability to make decisions, to protect yourself, to discern who deserves your trust. You're left feeling small, powerless, a shadow of the person you could be. Why does it hurt so much to be betrayed? Because it's not just a betrayal of trust, it's a betrayal of your own identity. On a broader scale, this blind trust shapes the world around you, often in ways you don't see. When you trust too easily, you become a pawn in the power games Machiavelli warned about. You give others the tools to manipulate you, your resources, your secrets, your loyalty. In a society where power dynamics are ever present, this makes you a target. Think of the corporate scandals where employees trusted leaders who exploited them, or the political betrayals where nations trusted allies who turned against them. Your blind trust doesn't just affect you. It perpetuates a cycle of deceit where those who exploit trust gain power, while those who give it are left to pick up the pieces. Social psychology calls this the bystander effect in trust dynamics. When everyone trusts blindly, no one challenges the betrayers, allowing them to thrive. The urgency is palpable. Every time you trust without discernment, you risk losing more: your relationships, your self-worth, your place in the world. You feel it, don't you? The weight of those betrayals, the fear of being hurt again, the quiet ache of knowing you're meant for more than this cycle of pain. If you keep going like this, what will you lose next? What will happen if you never learn to protect yourself? If you never see the warning signs Machiavelli saw? There's a way out. A rebellion against this dangerous habit, a path to reclaim your power and navigate the world with wisdom, not naivety. Let's take that step and discover how to break free from the trap of blind trust. You felt the sting of betrayal, seen how blind trust erodes your relationships, your self-worth, and your place in a world where power games lurk behind every smile. The unseen consequences have left you isolated, doubting yourself, and vulnerable to manipulation. Here's the rebellion Machiavelli's wisdom urges you to embrace. Stop trusting everyone and start trusting yourself. The path to breaking free isn't about closing your heart or becoming a cynic. It's about cultivating a discerning trust, a strategic wisdom that protects your power while allowing you to connect authentically. This radical shift will empower you to reclaim control, navigate the world with clarity, and become a force no one can betray. The first step is to trust your instincts, not your. Machiavelli understood that people are often driven by self-interest, and blind trust ignores this reality. You've been conditioned to hope for the best in others, to see their smiles and promises as truth. But hope can blind you to the red flags your gut is screaming to notice. Start by listening to that inner voice, the one that hesitated when a deal seemed too good to be true, the one that felt uneasy when a friend's words didn't match their actions. Take a moment right now. Think of a time you were betrayed. Did you feel a flicker of doubt before it happened? Write it down and let that instinct guide you. Psychologically, this taps into your amygdala's natural threat detection, a survival mechanism that's been dulled by societal pressure to trust. Reclaim it and let it be your first line of defense. Next, cultivate strategic discernment. Machiavelli didn't advocate for mistrust of everyone. He advocated for wisdom and trust. This means testing people before you trust them, observing their actions, not their words. Don't give your loyalty to a new friend who showers you with flattery. Watch how they treat others, how they handle conflict, how they keep their promises. In a business deal, don't sign on a handshake. Set small, low-stakes milestones to see if they deliver before you commit fully. This isn't paranoia, it's power. By holding back your trust until it's earned, you protect yourself from betrayal while building relationships based on mutual respect. Historically, leaders like Nelson Mandela used this approach, trusting allies only after they proved their integrity through actions, not words. You can do the same, turning every interaction into a calculated step towards safety and strength. Now, rebuild your self-trust. The betrayals you faced have shaken your confidence, making you doubt your judgment. But Machiavelli knew that true power comes from within, from a core of self-reliance. Start with a daily practice. Every morning, take 5 minutes to reflect on a decision you made. Maybe it was saying no to a risky partnership or walking away from a toxic friend. Celebrate that choice, even if it felt small. This builds neural pathways for self-confidence, reducing the cortisol-driven anxiety that makes you seek external validation. Over time, you'll trust your own judgment more than anyone else's, and that trust will radiate outward, making you a force others can't manipulate. Jean-Paul Sartre would call this living in good faith, choosing authenticity over the need for approval. This rebellion goes against everything you've been taught. Society will push you to trust blindly, to see suspicion as a flaw, to value openness over caution. But every time you choose discernment over naivety, you grow stronger. You start to feel the shift. Relationships become deeper, built on mutual respect. Your self-worth rises, no longer tied to others' validation, and the world bends. Machiavelli's wisdom isn't about shutting out the world. It's about navigating it with power, protecting what matters while connecting with those who deserve your trust. As we move to the final truth, you'll see how this rebellion isn't just a way to break free. It's a way to redefine your life, to become a master of trust, not its victim. Are you ready to step fully into that power? You've broken free from the trap of blind trust. Embracing Machiavelli's wisdom by listening to your instincts, cultivating strategic discernment, and rebuilding trust in yourself. You've stopped giving your power away to those who don't deserve it, choosing instead to navigate the world with clarity and strength. Here's the ultimate truth Machiavelli's teachings reveal. Trust isn't the foundation of a meaningful life. Wisdom is. The most powerful relationships, the most enduring successes, and the deepest sense of self don't come from trusting everyone. They come from trusting wisely, from mastering the art of discernment, and from knowing that your greatest ally is the strength within you. This revelation redefines everything, turning trust from a vulnerability into a tool, and you into a master of your own destiny. Machiavelli understood that trust is not a virtue to be given freely. It's a strategic choice, a calculated risk that must be weighed against the reality of human nature. In The Prince, he wrote, "Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions." You've seen this truth in your own life, the betrayals, the manipulations, the moments when trust left you exposed. But the ultimate truth goes deeper. The problem isn't trust itself, but the way you've been taught to use it. You've been conditioned to see trust as an all-or-nothing game, a moral imperative to give until you're broken. Machiavelli's revelation flips this on its head. Trust is a tool, not a mandate, and the power lies in knowing when to wield it and when to withhold it. Philosophically, this aligns with Marcus Aurelius's Stoic wisdom. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The betrayals you faced weren't just failures of others. They were failures of your own boundaries, your own discernment. When you trust wisely, you take back that power, choosing who to let in based on their actions, not your hopes. This isn't about becoming cold or cynical. It's about becoming sovereign, a master of your own world. Carl Jung would add that this mastery comes from integrating your shadow, the part of you that knows not everyone is trustworthy, the part that's been hurt and learned from it. By embracing this shadow, you become whole, able to trust without losing yourself, to connect without being consumed. Psychologically, this truth is liberating. Blind trust keeps you in a cycle of stress. Each betrayal floods your brain with cortisol, eroding your self-esteem and making you doubt your judgment. But when you trust wisely, you reduce that stress, allowing your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for clarity and decision-making, to take over. You feel calmer, more confident, more in control. Studies show that people who practice discernment in relationships report higher self-esteem and lower anxiety because they're no longer at the mercy of others' actions. They're at the helm of their own. You might find yourself drawn to deeper, more authentic connections because you're no longer giving your trust to everyone. You're giving it to those who've earned it, and that makes all the difference. This changes how you live. You walk through the world differently now, with a quiet strength, a clarity that radiates from within. You're not the person you were, the one who trusted blindly, who gave until it hurt, who lived at the mercy of others' intentions. You're someone who's mastered trust, who knows its power and its limits, who builds relationships and successes on a foundation of wisdom, not naivety. Think of someone like Queen Elizabeth I, who navigated a treacherous court by trusting only those who proved their loyalty, securing her reign through discernment, not blind faith. You can do the same, turning every interaction into a moment of power, every choice into a testament to your strength. Picture this. You're back in that room, but now the air feels different, lighter, clearer, alive with possibility. The people around you still smile, still make promises, but you see them for who they are, not who you want them to be. You trust wisely, holding your power close, giving it only to those who've earned it. You've become a master of discernment, a sovereign of your own world, unshaken by betrayal because you've learned the ultimate truth. Wisdom, not trust, is the foundation of a life well lived. Step into that truth, live it, and let it guide you into a future where you're not a victim of trust, but its master. You've journeyed through the shadows of blind trust, felt the sting of betrayal, and uncovered the hidden forces that make trusting everyone a dangerous mistake. You've learned Machiavelli's ultimate truth. Wisdom, not trust, is the foundation of a meaningful life. You've become a master of discernment, someone who trusts strategically, protects their power, and builds authentic connections with those who've earned it. You're no longer a victim of betrayal. You're a sovereign of your own world, navigating life with clarity, strength, and purpose. Start today. Take one small step to trust wisely. Reflect on a relationship or decision in your life. Ask yourself, have they earned my trust through actions, or am I hoping for the best? If the answer isn't clear, hold back, observe, and let their behavior guide you. Practice this discernment in every interaction and watch how it transforms your life. Relationships deepen. self-doubt fades, and your power grows. You've learned to wield trust as a tool, not a vulnerability. And that's a game changer. How does it feel to master trust? Share in the comments. What's one step you'll take today to trust more wisely? And how did it change your perspective? Your story could inspire someone else to break free from the cycle of betrayal. If this resonated with you, hit the like button. It lets us know you want more content like this. Subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss our next dive into philosophy and self-mastery. Share this with someone who's been burned. I trust they might need this wisdom to reclaim their power. The world will keep tempting you to trust blindly, but now you know better. You've learned Machiavelli's secret. Discernment is your greatest ally, and wisdom is your foundation. Step into that power, live it, and build a life where trust doesn't break you. It makes you stronger. You're not just surviving betrayal, you're mastering it. And the world will never look the same again.